Darkcast Network. Indie pods with a dark side.
I'm Ted.
I'm JJ.
And we're here to tell you about our show, Conspiring to Argue.
I like it.
That is not relevant. What do we do on the show?
Well, on our podcast, what we do is take conspiracy theories, and either Ted or myself will argue about if the conspiracy is real or not.
Yep. And sometimes the conspiracies are silly. Sometimes they're, in the pantheon of the greatest conspiracies of all time. It's a mixed bag.
Sometimes they're about aliens.
So check us out wherever you listen to podcasts.
Sometimes they're about murder.
Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker. The devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Fall to your knees. Devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Motherfucker, he's on his way.
Hey guys, welcome back to Mountain Murders.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
Hi, Dylan. How are you?
I'm doing great.
This is our final episode of 2025.
It is true. End of the year. People have sent us their Spotify yearly wrap up with Mountain Murders on it. We appreciate you listening. Thank you so much.
Yeah, there are some folks out there. We're actually their number one podcast, Dylan. Can you believe it? We're in their top 5.
I cannot believe people want to listen to us.
Makes me feel really sassy.
I know. It makes me feel special.
Well, Dylan, we also celebrate 7 years of Mountain Murders, heading into 2026 and kicking off our 8th year of podcasting. And we could not have done this without our incredible listeners. Thank you for being part of this journey.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, patrons, for your support. We appreciate it.
We launched Mountain Murders on December 28th of 2018.
That's right.
It was 1918, y'all.
It's been 100 years of podcasting.
Sometimes I feel like it's been 100 years.
Going strong. I never thought we'd make it past the horse and buggy turning into the Model T, but here we are.
Here we are. And I want to give a big shout out to our newest patron, Teresa. She is sponsoring today's show. Thank you so much for your support on Patreon.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you so much, and we hope you enjoyed the ad-free and extra content.
We always appreciate new support and, of course, our continued support. We have some folks who've been with us for years.
Oh, geez.
And that is amazing. I never dreamt we would be here, Dylan.
No.
When we started this little pod.
Somebody pinched me.
Over 500 episodes.
Not only was Jesus born in December, so was Mountain Murders.
Okay.
Happy birthday to both of you.
Taking it there.
That's right.
To the next level.
That's right. Good
All right.
things.
Fortunately for us, or maybe unfortunately, I don't have 3 wise men helping with the pod. I get you. Hi.
That's right. You just got this guy.
Okay. Dylan, are you ready to get into today's case? Of course, all month long we have been discussing cold cases. And these cold cases, I would say, are near and dear to my heart because I want to keep these victims, I want to keep their names out there. And I want to spotlight these cases. And I believe this case is solvable.
Okay.
I've not lost hope for this case. I really think that it's solvable, and perhaps with all the, forensic developments and like new DNA technology and the familial DNA, ancestry, all that, I think this case could very easily be solved.
Yeah, when you have a case like that, talking about it, discussing it is a very good way to possibly make someone remember something, or maybe shake the tree, if you will.
Right, because these people, the victims are not forgotten, and these cases are so important. And again, I think that's why it's just so near and dear to my heart is discussing these people in their lives, because they are more than just a true crime case on a podcast.
Right.
Right?
I agree completely.
And today's story is going to be sad. It's very sad, but I think it is one of those cases that like we just have to talk about it. It's very important. So our case today takes place in Hoke County, North Carolina. Dillian, are you familiar with Hoke County?
I am not.
Well, it's located in southeastern North Carolina, lying in the coastal plain and Sandhills region of the state. It is neighboring to Robeson County, which we have discussed a few cases out of Robeson County, known for its high crime.
High crime, police corruption, and an army base.
Well, the area was originally inhabited by Sara, or the Chirraw, and Lumbee Indians. We've discussed the Lumbee before, and good news for them, they are actually have been recognized now as a federally recognized tribe, which they've been fighting for years to get this federal recognition, and it's finally happened, Dylan.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I know it's been a long time coming for that group, and I think they should be federally recognized, and any benefits to come along with that, I think everyone who is a member of that tribe deserve it.
The Fort Bragg Military Reservation occupies the north third of the county, and before you come for me for calling it a military reservation, you can Google it. It's a real thing. But it is the largest Army installation in the state, and one of the largest Army installations in the nation.
Okay, yeah.
I think maybe behind like Fort Hood, I know is a pretty large Army base as well. Fort Bragg, of course, known for the 82nd Airborne.
Very famous.
Very famous. And we've actually had a couple of cases take place at Fort Bragg and involve military members.
Yeah, I know. I think people would be surprised, maybe not our true crime listeners. Some people may be surprised how much shenanigans go on around and on bases.
Yeah.
You know, because I think we maybe lose sight that all these soldiers, you got a lot of young people trying to figure themselves out, but they're also just people.
Diverse backgrounds coming
very
together.
Diverse.
Yeah.
And they're just people. Like,
yeah, exactly. And you have a lot of predators around these bases.
Right.
You have predatory lending. You have criminals looking to exploit someone and see, maybe an 18-year-old straight out of boot camp as a mark. So these areas can have a lot of crime.
Yeah, definitely.
But today we are not discussing a military crime, Dylan. Moving on. Hoke County is famous for turkeys.
Gobble, gobble.
They are a national leader in turkey production and even offer the North Carolina Turkey Festival.
Now, would you go to a turkey festival?
What do you think? Of course I would go to a turkey festival.
Get you one of the big turkey legs?
Well, I'm not going to get a turkey leg, but I would dress like a turkey and go to this festival.
Okay.
That would be so fun. The estimated population is under 50,000 for the entire county. So not densely populated.
Right.
By any means. So, a pretty small area could be considered, kind of maybe a bit rural. And the poverty rates in Hoke County are higher than state and national averages, though it is not the poorest county in the state. Robeson County actually takes that award.
So that is the neighboring county. They're
Yes.
neighbors, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that.
But Hoke County it sounds like they have a bit more agriculture, like a bit more of an agricultural element, perhaps. A lot of farms in Hoke County.
Right, but the issues that both counties have are going to kind of commingle.
They do. On a January morning in 1998, 5-year-old Brittany Locklear waited for the school bus at the end of her driveway. Now, this driveway, Dylan, has been described as kind of like a dirt gravel driveway, but there are multiple homes kind of around this driveway. So multiple people share this little street. I don't know what you want to call it. Driveway, street, loop.
It's the gravel road.
Right.
I used to live off this very thing. You go up a gravel road off the asphalt road, and there was, 5 or 6 homes up it. And so, people pass by your house, going out. But, I can picture exactly what you're describing.
Right, and this driveway intersects with Gainey Road, which is a 2-lane that goes, through this community. Brittany was alone at the bus stop, and when the bus arrived, Brittany was not in her usual spot. Brittany was nowhere to be found.
Okay.
Let's discuss Brittany. First of all, I have to say, Brittany is adorable, and I will post photos of Brittany on our Instagram at Mountain Murders. Brittany was born on October 14th, 1992 to mother Connie Locklear. Connie would later marry a man named Charles Chavis, and that would be Brittany's stepfather. They live just outside the town of Raeford, North Carolina. A unique detail about Brittany was her size. She was a tiny little thing, Dylan. People often mistook this 5-year-old for a toddler.
Now, my youngest daughter was like this.
Yes.
She, even when she was 7, 8, 9, she's still, suckering us into carrying her around. People thought she was much younger. And now were you a tiny little kid?
I was a small little kid.
Were you? I mean, would people mistake you? Were you so small that people would think you were way younger than you were?
Sometimes. I mean, everyone towered over me in class, and especially as, I guess, you get to an age where you kind of get those growth spurts, like maybe 3rd, 4th grade.
Right.
Up until the 6th grade, everybody was like a foot taller than me.
Oh, gosh.
And I wore a very small size. I was very little. And then I don't know what happened. I mean, I'm still pretty short, but nothing else is little about me.
You're tiny.
Just because I can't reach the shelf, Dylan.
So Brittany's so tiny that people would mistake her for being
for like a little tiny, like a toddler.
Right.
Just a tiny little thing. Being the youngest and smallest in her class, Brittany was only 3 feet tall and weighed about 35 pounds.
Gosh.
I mean, that's like a 2-year-old, maybe 3-year-old size.
That's pretty small.
It's itty bitty, right? Because she was so small, people nicknamed her Little Brittany. I'm going to call her Lil Brit. She was small but fierce. Described as an independent child, Brittany wanted to do things on her own. She walked before the age of 1 and was talking as well. It is said by the age of 2 that Brittany could go inside a store and buy something for herself.
Damn.
Not only is Brittany a tiny little thing with a big personality, but as I mentioned, she's adorable. Brittany is also indigenous. As I mentioned, there are several tribes who inhabit the area, and Brittany was a member of the Lumbee.
Now, when you have a little tiny tidbit like this, a boy or girl, they tend to be a little spitfire, You know what I mean? Lots of attitude.
Oh, yeah.
Not
Dynamite comes in small packages.
Not bad attitude, not what I mean, but just big personality.
Be a little sassy.
Can't tell them nothing.
Yeah,
right?
little spitfires.
Yeah.
Absolutely. On this morning, what my papa would have called a pistol.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah, some like a person with like a big personality or whatever. He'd be like, "That's a pistol right there." Yeah. Now on this morning, January 7th, Brittany and her mother got up at about 6:30 a.m. to get ready for school. Connie would help her daughter choose an outfit and assist with things, like getting her dressed, fixing her hair, brushing her teeth, all the things, getting the breakfast, gathering up the backpack, the lunch, all the things one must do in the morning when you have children. Now, after dressing, Brittany wore her red winter coat because this was a chilly morning and it was described as a gray day, still dark outside.
Yeah, you have to hate those winter mornings.
Like I mentioned before, Brittany lives on a dirt road, more like a driveway with several other homes. It's called Three Guys Loop, and it ends down at Gainey Road. This bus stop at the bottom of the driveway is about 150 yards away from her house, like down the drive. So like I said, this driveway intersects with a main road. Now in the winter, the leaves are gone, which gave a clear view from the house to the bus stop. It's a rural community, and someone might say, like out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah,
but and for anyone thinking, wow, why is this little kid, going by themselves down? This is nothing abnormal, especially out in rural settings. You will see this. You'll see kids huddled up at the end of long drives. I mean, there's been many places I lived growing up. We were completely out of sight of our home when we would walk down to the bus stop. Sometimes with other kids, sometimes not. And that's just how it goes, because the bus there's not enough room for the bus to come up and drive to your doorstep.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, when people live out in the country, things are a little different. 5 seems young to stand at the bus stop alone, but in a lot of areas, people don't think twice about this kind of thing. And we grew up in the 1980s, and at 5, we were probably out buying cigarettes for our grandmother.
Right.
Right? We were like, Nana needs some Pall Malls. This is not a heavily traveled road, I might add. Gainey is the kind of place that you'd only go there if you had a reason, like you lived there or perhaps worked on one of the farms.
So not a lot of through traffic.
Right. And not a place where just like a random stranger is going to end up, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean,
understand.
Unless you're getting lost for some reason, like most people are not traveling on this road just for shits and giggles because it's in the middle of nowhere. It's not a place, like I said, random people would be taking a leisurely drive, that kind of thing. And I don't think I would be comfortable allowing my 5-year-old to catch the bus alone. But Brittany's mother, Connie, typically went with her to the bus stop. But on this day, she watched from the kitchen window. Connie saw her little girl walk down the driveway as usual. And then Connie excused herself to the bathroom for just a moment.
Now, 5 is a little small and a little bit young. In my personal opinion, I agree with you on that. But, I don't think it's negligent either, if that makes sense.
This also was like 27 years ago.
Well, no, the different
Times have changed.
And all the everyone around there would watch out for this kid. You know what I mean? Everyone knows her, knows where she lives, knows her parents more than likely.
Well, again, it's not the kind of road that's heavily trafficked. So at this time of morning, you're very likely to like not even see a car drive by. Like
Right.
The bus is the only vehicle on the road at this time of morning. And you're right. There are neighbors with children. There's a bus stop just down from Brittany where other kids are located. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not, I guess, the strangest thing in the world for this little girl to be at this bus stop alone. So her mom's going to the bathroom. Probably the reason she didn't walk her to the driveway. You know, when nature calls, you gotta answer, Dylan.
Hey, who's this? It's nature.
Quit ringing my phone.
Hold on 1 minute. I'll be right there.
Quit ringing my bladder, you son of a bitch. Now, when she returns to the window, she does not see Brittany at the end of the drive. Connie assumed she had just missed the bus pickup. That while she was in the bathroom, the bus had come by and picked up her daughter.
Okay.
And that Brittany was already safe and on her way to school. She's not thinking anything in the world about it. But that quickly changed just a few minutes later when a neighbor named Rose Johnson began screaming. Rose is, running up to the house. She's calling for Connie. Rose had been watching her children walk to the bus stop. All of a sudden, Rose spots a speeding pickup truck on Gainey Road. It just comes to a complete stop in front of Brittany Locklear. A man jumps out of the truck, and she said it looked like he was picking something up, but it took her a minute to realize that he had grabbed Brittany.
Oh, my God.
Just as this is happening and the man drives away, the school bus comes along and passes by and does not stop for the little girl because, again, she's not there.
Right.
Rose bolts to the house to tell Connie what has happened. This Rose woman, it sounds like she was nearly hysterical.
Well, she just
having witnessed this.
Yeah.
She has children of her own. This is very scary. I think most of us would be freaking out if we saw something like this.
Well, for sure.
And you wouldn't really know what to do, right? Do you try to go after this person? Do you run in the house and call the police?
Well, that would be if I could get to my vehicle and get out quickly enough, which on this type of road you might could catch up, or you know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
There not being a whole lot of other traffic.
But also being 1998, not everybody has cell phones at that point. It's just, it would be a confusing situation, I think, for anybody. How would you react, right? Connie and Charles jump into action. Maybe she's made a mistake. So the couple drives to West Hoke Elementary School to meet the bus. They actually arrive before the bus pulls in. Impatiently, the parents wait for Brittany to step off the school bus. And when she does not, fear sets in.
Oh, my God.
Maybe Rose had been right. So the bus driver confirms Brittany did not get on the bus that morning. She was not seen at the stop. She was not picked up.
God, can you imagine the feeling?
I would never want to be in these people's position, these parents' position, because this is like nightmare fuel. This is absolutely devastating.
Well, it's almost like their brain couldn't even process that that's really what happened, so they have to go with the assumption that the neighbor's mistaken.
You always want to hope for the best.
And then, you take the time to drive to the school, wait for the bus, wait for all the kids to come off the bus, and then you're like, where's she at? And in that moment, I think that feeling starts to sink in that, oh my God, something very bad is wrong, right?
Well, in that moment, the police were called. This happens within a matter of minutes. So there was a chance that the truck, could still be in this area. Rose, the neighbor, described the truck as being brown, and the driver was a white male. Other than that, the details were murky. It happened so quickly and was a distance away, so she did not get the best look at this man. On top of it, it's still dark outside.
Right.
So not the best description to work with, but a brown truck is unique. And I'm going to say that's not a popular color in 1998. And I'll discuss that a little bit more here in a moment. So by 8:30, the sheriff's department had set up a roadblock and were searching for the girl. Roadblocks were placed kind of around Hoke County. They were doing different checkpoints looking for this brown truck. The sheriff would order that all brown trucks be stopped and the drivers questioned.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't matter if you see a brown vehicle, you're going to pull it over. Brown truck. We're questioning everybody.
I like it.
Around 2 hours after she went missing, this is like 9 a.m., some of the child's items were located about 2 miles from where she had been taken. Law enforcement finds her backpack, clothing, and shoes, and they are on Ryan McBride Road. This discovery did not make law enforcement feel good about the situation because at this point they consider the child has been harmed.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know how you could come to any other conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like, why would someone kidnap a child, take their clothes off, throw the clothes out the window?
My God.
Law enforcement and volunteers spend the day searching for Brittany. By night, the search is suspended, but starts up again the next morning. And this is going to be a large-scale search, Dylan. More than 100 employees from the Department of Corrections, along with 10 different, like, firefighter, I don't know if you'd want to call them squads or units, join in, as well as hundreds of just, like, regular folks who want to volunteer to find this little girl. This area is densely wooded. There are not many roads or houses.
Now, that's one thing about these rural areas. People will come together very quickly.
They will.
And I know sometimes in the big cities, they get a reputation for people not caring about their neighbors, which I think is not as true as some people think it is. I think communities, neighborhoods typically, come together around situations like this.
Right, and I think, Brittany and her mother being Lumbee, they also had that community, really like wanting to find this little girl as well.
Well, yeah.
So everyone's coming together.
But in the country, I think you'll get a little bit more of people knowing each other a little better. Because I don't even know what it's like to be in a city of hundreds of thousands or even millions, or an area of millions of people, because I can't even imagine that many people around. And a lot of times I think it would be impossible to know everyone around you. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, I think you get a little bit more sense of people. If they don't know you, they know of you.
Right. And as I mentioned, this area is pretty densely wooded. There's a lot of scrub brush, a lot of pines in this area.
Okay.
And very thick woods. Not easy to search.
No.
I guess that's my point. Sadly, at 2 p.m., an officer locates Brittany Locklear. Her body is in a drainage ditch only a few yards, maybe a few hundred yards or so, away from where her backpack had been found.
Really?
Now, when they discovered her personal items, I guess they did not look further, but she was just right there.
This is what I'm talking. This is it. This is statistically what happens in a situation like this. It happens fast. It's horrible. These type of people, they have very bad intentions, but this is how it goes. I mean, it really is. And when a child is taken from anywhere, this is the kind. I mean,
usually in a matter of hours.
If hours,
ends very badly.
right? And it sounds like it may have been even
Minutes.
more quick. Yeah, I mean, it really does.
Brittany's autopsy will reveal the girl was sexually assaulted and drowned. It was suspected that she was murdered most likely at that spot where she had been found in this drainage ditch. There was water in the ditch. In a vehicle, the drive from Brittany's home to this particular spot is about 7 minutes. It was described as being like 2 miles away from her home.
I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, this is a demon.
I mean, the whole time I was working on this, I'm like, just what kind of person would do something like this? What is your major malfunction as a human being if you can do something like this and live with yourself?
To want to do it, for one, to even think about doing it, is in itself terrible. But to actually do it, go through these motions,
You're
do
a fucking
this,
monster.
grab this little baby, this little child, and have this kind of intention is it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes your skin crawl. And when people are proven to have done something like this, I seriously don't have any more. I don't care about your rights. We know you did it for a fact. You're done, man. And as a society, I don't know who an ACLU lawyer or whoever advocate or whatever can seriously view this person as a human being anymore, because I can't. I simply can't.
Yeah, I don't have the capacity to.
No, you're done.
To see you as a human after you do something like this, because to me you're the goddamn boogeyman.
You're a low vibrational being, a demon, a monster, whatever term you're comfortable with.
You fucked up.
You're just subhuman at that point to me. And I could kill that person. I could kill this person and not have a problem and would enjoy it.
I think there are many people out there who feel the same.
God.
When you hear stories like this, I think there's a lot of people out there who suddenly are like, you know what? Dexter was onto something.
Yes.
Right? Now, according to research, Ryan McBride Road offers access to some farms, but it is not a road that would be traveled unless a person knows the area well or has a reason to be there again. They work on the farm or they live on one of these farms.
Right.
Otherwise, there's a church in the area, but the rest is just like woodsy and swampy.
And sparse houses.
It's very sparse houses. This does not feel like a perp taking advantage of an opportunity to me, as in this was just a random stranger. I feel like the person might have known Brittany, knew her schedule, and knew that she stood alone at this bus stop. Like, this person was familiar with this child, her family, had seen her before. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just don't think this is some random sicko just happens to be on this road and snatches this little girl up.
No, even if they didn't know the family at all, they know that this little girl sometimes stands at the end of this road. They've driven by and seen her. They knew that. It's not, I agree with that.
Another detail is this was the first Wednesday back to school after the holiday break. You know, that had like a 2-week Christmas vacation. Like I said, it seems like maybe a person who knew this and acted on it. Because she's not been there. School's been out. This is the day she's back.
Right.
It just, for me, for whatever reason, it just feels like this is a person who has like staked this child out almost.
No, I agree. I think that there's evidence to that. I mean, it makes more sense than some rando driving by.
And I could be totally wrong.
Right.
But just the feeling I get is like, this is a person who has seen this girl before, who knows the schedule, that maybe knows the family, knows this area very well.
Well, to look, when you even stopping, and it doesn't take long, stop, you got this little girl little easy to grab, but it's still taking a big chance, right? And you have to be pretty comfortable to take that
That's
chance.
what I think.
To not know for a fact that there's not someone right there or where you can't see or anything like that. No, they definitely. I think.
Well,
you're
it's
right.
interesting you brought that up because my next paragraph is this seems like a person to me who has like a predatory compulsion, because although the area is rural, there are other kids who stand at a bus stop nearby, near where Brittany was picked up. There are other parents like Rose Johnson who watch their children. Brittany's mother typically watches her daughter or accompanies her down to the bottom of this driveway. It seems risky, but then maybe the person felt like this was a better choice than snatching a kid in town. And with these sexual predators and pedophiles, so many are just driven by this urge that they don't consider who is around. They're not thinking of the consequences. They're just like uncontrollable in that moment.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist, but based on what I have read, I mean, it just seems like these people have a real lack of impulse control.
Well, see, that's why it doesn't work. That's why so many times, so many stories over the 8 years that we've been doing this, or 7+ years that we've been doing this, is these people, they get caught. For some fucking reason, they get a slap on the wrist. They can't stop themselves. So when they're at a certain level with this sickness,
And we've seen it escalate in certain
yes.
situations.
Well, yeah, that's what it always turns into. You stop leaving the victim behind, so you can't have a witness in court, or they can't tell anybody. So it ends up with child murder. But they cannot stop themselves. And that's why some island in the middle of the Pacific where these people are sent to just where it's just them there.
They don't deserve the Pacific.
Well,
It's probably
if
too
you
tropical.
if you don't want to put a bullet in their head, which is honestly, I think, the cleanest way to protect society, if you want to have some kind of compassion, but they have to be kept away from everyone.
Send them to Siberia.
They cannot control themselves because it is what you said. It's a compulsion. It's some kind of deviance. They are beyond. They can't control it. They can't just not do it. It builds up. I mean, you've heard it described many times by people like this, of just like it
Like
builds,
it takes over
or
me.
like a serial killer who has this compulsion to kill, and even when they try to not do it, it just builds and it builds until they have to have this release. And I don't know.
Look, well, one, I want to apologize if you're hearing strange noises. You know, my son's here and he walks around and opens doors and stuff. So if you're hearing like squeaking in water or whatever, just know it's probably my kid. Also, you're right, Dylan. I watch a lot of Chris Hansen. Obviously, To Catch a Predator was my jam back in the day. And now he has some kind of YouTube show where he's still catching predators.
Yeah, I actually saw there's some kind of documentary coming out. They're talking to him. I think that's what it is. And they're asking, the big question they're putting forth to him is, are you helping stop these people, or did you just turn it into a reality show that America could enjoy watching? It's like a weird question, right?
I mean, I think he's doing good work. He's busting these people. He sits on this show in particular. He kind of tries to sit down and have a conversation with them. And of course, they're never honest. But asking them, like, why are you doing this? You have met a 14-year-old online.
Why are you dumb?
Yeah. Why are you gay? He's like, you have driven 7 hours across 3 states to meet a 14-year-old. Like, what is wrong with you? Right? And of course, they, like I said, never tell the truth, or they have some dumb response. But even watching some of these predators, you see it's like they have no control over it, or just like no idea of consequences, or it's like the consequences do not outweigh the action of this desire or whatever.
No, many of them will say that I was pretty sure this was a setup,
but I came anyway.
But they came anyway, just in the off chance that it wasn't, which is scary because that means that they probably like really met young people, and there is no Chris Hansen or the police there,
right,
or cameras, which is really scary.
But the other disturbing thing is, Many of these predators have been caught up in other sting operations. I know one of the episodes I watched recently, like I said, it's on YouTube. Younger guy, it was like in his 20s, not a bad looking guy, went to meet this very young girl, gets busted, gets arrested, whatever, I guess is released back out into the community, awaiting trial or whatever, gets busted again in a motel room with a very young girl.
While he's waiting?
And he just got busted like a week before.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
That's what I'm saying.
So these people, I'm sorry, they're just fucked in the head and you can't fix them.
No.
They just can't control it or whatever, you know?
They're broken.
That's why they need to be cold. We don't need them to be part of society. And I think that's what happened here. I mean, I really feel like this person just had this, I have to pull over and do this right now.
Right. Saw the opportunity. Doesn't care what happens after the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes. They just want to do that terrible thing.
Yeah. It seems, though, in this area, someone would recognize this truck. I mean, I know the cars that frequent our street.
Right.
Drive through our neighborhood.
I think everyone does, especially out in the sticks.
I recognize drivers by their face, even if I don't know them personally or know their name. I see them and I'm like, oh yeah, that person drives. Hey, how you doing? They drive by all the time, right? And like I said, brown trucks were not really that popular in the 1990s. I remember Nissan had a chocolate brown pickup in the 1980s.
Right.
And Ford had almost like a two-tone, like brown and tan truck.
Yeah.
And some of the Broncos.
Toyota may have had like a gold or something, but there wasn't a whole lot of brown.
No, I mean, if so, this would have been I think a later model truck to be that color or had to be painted a brown, because in the 90s, white, silver, red, black, those were the big truck colors. I know. I grew up with family of rednecks. They love them some trucks.
That's the color trucks you saw?
Yeah. Okay. And my uncle does have a brown pickup, but it is like a Nissan from 1983 or something.
Right.
Yeah. But, I mean, those were just the popular truck colors. You go buy a brand new Ford F-150, the likelihood you're going to get ones like silver, white. Those were very popular colors, right?
So here you have this kind of oddly colored truck that you would imagine would stand out.
I would think so. Also, I don't have information about the year or the model. I'm not sure why I'm harping on this detail, but it just sort of bugs me. I need to know, what year was this truck? What kind of truck?
Well, making models.
Do we know? And why isn't this truck familiar to someone? Even in Raeford, I mean, it's a pretty small town. So if you're talking about a brown truck, there's probably only a handful of people who have brown trucks in this very small area.
Well, I have a thought. Given the description of the area, the agricultural business in the area, the farms, I'm sure some of them were big farms. Maybe it's some kind of seasonal worker or some kind of transient type worker who is not from the area, but has been there just a couple of weeks, long enough to maybe see this little girl here and there.
Possibly, but it is January, so I'm not really sure how many farm hands we would have in the area.
I do know that depending on the type of farm, right, if it's livestock, you still got to tend, right? Even cows and horses in the winter and all that.
There are a lot of turkeys.
Dairy. I mean, they're
There's
being
a lot of
worked.
turkeys and hogs.
Yeah, and the
in
turkeys.
Hope County.
And I could imagine that. I'm imagining, some places known for chickens. They'll have these big chicken houses, which are where they keep them mostly inside, especially in the winter. And maybe there's big turkey houses. There could be processing facilities in the area given that kind of livestock. So I mean, maybe it's someone connected to agriculture or livestock in a way, who's just a worker who kind of floats around, and they're not from the area, but they've been in the area for a short period of time.
Well, another thing is that, this place where Brittany was found, this drainage ditch, does not offer any kind of outbuilding or anything like that. I mean, it's just kind of it sounds like a bit of a field, a drainage ditch. Not even like a big field, but just maybe a few hundred yards, and then you've got the tree line.
Right.
So the perpetrator removed her from the truck and went down to the ditch. And since it is a rural area, he probably wasn't worried about anybody driving by, but there's always that chance.
Right.
I don't know. Again, I just think this person was a local, and this person knew this is a good place for me to do whatever I'm going to do and not get caught.
Right.
Now, later, law enforcement will question if Rose's information was accurate. This happened at 7 a.m., winter, it's still dark outside. There's a chance the truck wasn't brown after all, and that really adds a layer of difficulty in locating a suspect. Rose was 50 to 100 yards away from this person.
Damn, that's a football field, bro. 100 yards.
Maybe she doesn't know the make or model of the truck, and, the color might also be wrong.
Well, yeah, given that, you're right on the edge of daylight, you might have this kind of dusky situation happening. I think everyone knows what that winter, black mornings like. The lighting could be strange. So that truck could be multiple other colors, but
right.
it appeared brown or a darker color. But in reality, who knows what color it really is.
Right, and not knowing the make and model, I think that's not totally out of the question. I think there are a lot of people who don't know cars.
Now, if that had been some good old boy or some good old girls as well, simply by seeing the headlights and taillights, they could have...
Hell, I'd be able to tell you what kind of truck that is.
I could tell you maybe on especially the older models, because like you said, everything looks the same nowadays. But this is back when cars still had character.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, a little bit more than they do today, for sure. Hoke County was rattled with this kidnapping and murder. This is the kind of place where homicide is, I'm not going to say rare, but uncommon.
No, you might have the unfortunate domestic dispute.
Well, I was going to say, the homicides that do happen in the area, it seems like a good bit of them are domestic situations.
Or a family argument, which you could count as domestic, right?
Right, absolutely.
Or some, someone's cheated on, their so-and-so and they've gotten mad and, something like that.
Some two-timing?
But this type
Some
of...
stepping out?
This type of abduction, child murder, that fast, that out of nowhere. This is the type of crime that really shakes a community.
Well, it would shake, I think, any small community.
Any neighborhood. This would leave people afraid.
Well, like I said, homicide is rare in this area. It's not like they have 30 murders, every year. They definitely don't have that many at all. Child abduction is nearly unheard of. A lot of people say, this couldn't happen here. But unfortunately, even in small towns and communities, there are shitbirds. And often I think we take for granted how safe our communities are, especially when we live in a rural area. There have been times in my life when I didn't lock the door. I lived on a very rural road surrounded by farms, and most of the neighbors around me were older people who had lived there 50 or 60 years.
Right.
Right? And it never occurred to me that someone might hurt me or enter into my house. I've left the door unlocked. I could come home and someone's waiting for me. It just never, and I know when you're young, maybe you're a little naive about these things, but it just didn't even occur to me that something like that could happen, right? I just took for granted that I live in this really small, safe town where crime doesn't happen.
Well, and when you are in the country, the problem is help is not right around the corner.
Well, see, that's true as well, because it can take 30, 45 minutes sometimes for law enforcement to make it out to these farm communities.
Yeah.
There were parts of our former county that were 30, 45 minutes ride into town.
Right.
Just to get groceries.
Up narrow mountain roads, curvy roads. It's not somewhere you can speed to, right? It's kind of dangerous driving conditions. And, gosh, the time or two I've really needed the cops, I felt like I did, like something was going on serious. They still didn't come fast, right? I don't know what you have to call them and say to them to make them come right away. But even if they do want to rush to the scene.
Well, I think it depends on where you are, what type of call it is.
Right, but
How many officers they have available at
I've
the time.
put out some pretty serious calls, and it still was 20, 30 minutes. But even if let's say that they are, oh my God, let's get there now.
We all know about Voldemort hiding in the bushes. Okay.
Turn the sirens on. We're going there now. Even if they want to get to you, it can still be 20 or 30 minutes,
Right.
depending on where you are. And that's a very long time.
Things are probably different now. I mean, people have more security options, cameras, trail cams.
A gun.
So you would think, in an area like this today, there could be a good chance you would have somebody who's got a ring camera or a trail cam caught this truck driving by or whatever. But in 1998, people just didn't have that, like regular people.
No.
Parents were worried. They stopped letting their kids stand alone at bus stops. Some drove their children to school, and it created definite tension in town. This kind of thing can also lead to bad blood among neighbors and friends because you start eyeing people.
Suspicion creeps in.
Suspecting, did this person do it? They drive a truck. I know they've been out that road before, or they hang out. They have a friend out there, whatever. Rumors and gossip spread. I mean, it can really create a tension.
Oh, for sure.
And people feed these rumor mills, and you don't really know what to believe. And half the time, these stories are made up.
Well, what happens is you got the old timers sitting around the Hardee's or the Liar's Bench outside the store,
Barbershop,
the barbershop, where the hair salon, wherever, and a conversation will start out like, "Well, what if?" or maybe. It'll be posed as a question or a theory, but by the time it gets to the third or fourth person, it's become fact. Right?
It was
heard from a good
Colonel
source.
Mustard in the ballroom with a candlestick.
Yeah, but it's a game of telephone. It's literally how it happens, and then that turns into fact, and then those alleged facts spread like wildfire, and it just adds to, like you said, that tension in the entire community.
After the discovery of Brittany's body, law enforcement set up checkpoints on Gainey Road. Everyone who drove through the area was questioned. Police thought maybe someone had seen something unusual or out of the ordinary on the day she was taken. Sometimes people witness things, and maybe at the time they don't really think it's significant, but find out later it could help.
Right.
So for several days, they have these checkpoints set up where they're stopping and questioning everyone. After several days of this checkpoint, a brown truck was stopped on January 11th, which is a Sunday. Now, this is kind of odd, Dylan, because at first the driver refused to stop.
Really?
For this checkpoint.
Okay, well that could be for maybe they have a car beer. Maybe he has a truck beer in the car with him.
Well, that's not okay.
No, that's not okay.
That's why they need to be stopped.
That also doesn't mean you're the killer. Or maybe they just smoked some pot at their buddy's barn or something up the road.
Well, that's not okay.
You shouldn't be potting and driving. You should stay at the house when you smoke the pots.
Well, hell, if you high as hell, you should just take your magic carpet home.
Okay.
Right? You don't need to drive. There was even like a little chase where police had to chase this truck, get it to pull over. And finally, the driver complied. He told police he was late for work and didn't have time to stop. But when he realized why police were interested in stopping him, speaking to him, and that it was due to Brittany's case, he was cooperative at that point. The truck was searched, and the man was actually subjected to a 6-hour interview with law enforcement. So he was late for work anyway.
I'm sure this piqued their interest. They've been looking for this phantom brown truck, and they see one, and the person's not being cooperative. They don't know why they're being, evasive or trying to actually avoid them, if you will. So I'm sure this really piqued their interest.
He was cleared as a suspect. On Sunday evening, a memorial service, or like a wake, was held for Brittany. It has been reported that about 4,000 people attended.
Wow.
The funeral was held the next day at the school's auditorium because there were so many people who wanted to support Brittany and say goodbye. The auditorium at the school held 750 attendees. And from what I understand, I think people were like spilling out outside. There were a lot of people who showed up. In the weeks following Brittany's disappearance, hundreds of calls came in. The Hoke County Sheriff's Office struggled to keep up. They were a small agency with very limited resources. They didn't have fancy equipment or even a lot of manpower to handle a big investigation. And they definitely didn't have a lot of experience handling a child abduction and murder.
Well, no, this is a situation where you actually need some administration. You need some kind of a mechanism to take these leads in, to follow them up, to put in the work.
They need the unit. I mean, you could be there with your excellent memory. You would just recall all the information for them.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
No, they could have just airlifted me in. I
Yeah,
didn't
honey,
know.
I was being sarcastic.
I didn't know. They could have dropped me in there. I'd have found that piece of shit.
Now, many of these tips were loaded into a spreadsheet, but a lot were lost due to the lack of organization, manpower. The folks answering the phones were just taking notes, like little Post-it notes.
Yeah.
Those paper notes got lost in the shuffle, mishandled. Maybe someone wasn't sure, well, maybe this tip's already been, looked into. It hasn't. I mean, it's just, it was a mess. We'll just say that.
Well, at the end of the day, they're trying the best they can.
Well, right.
I'm sure everyone there wants to solve this, resolve it. But
Well, yeah, it's not like intentional.
right. But even if you're trying as hard as you can, if you don't have all the resources, the experience, you're going to fumble. You're going to make mistakes.
And again, this was 1998, and I know some of you maybe weren't even born in 1998, but for all of us old-timers who remember the 90s, computers and internet were still a novelty. I mean, in 1998, like, every home didn't have a computer.
No.
I mean, there were still people who didn't have a computer, didn't have internet, and wouldn't have access to a computer or internet for some years.
And even if you did, the internet wasn't what it is now.
No, and many agencies barely had computers, much less like filing, databases, access to, other database, like other law enforcement databases.
Or even knowing how to use it if they had
They,
to. Right.
inputting files, creating a, like a database. I mean, people still were kind of like trying to figure all that out in 1998. Now, with such little to go on, police began focusing on anyone who had a connection to Brittany, family, friends, teachers, anybody in the community. Connie and Charles are questioned, and both parents were cooperative, and they understood as her parents, they were going to be looked at first, right? It's usually the person closest to the victim, right? So they're looked into, but they had nothing to hide. They were very open and honest. They agreed to take polygraph exams. Brittany's biological father had never really been in the picture. He lived in Pembroke, which was about 30 minutes away. He was quickly ruled out as a suspect. He had an alibi. And like I said, I mean, it wasn't like there was a custody dispute.
Right.
Anything. I mean, he just didn't have anything to do with his kid. Law enforcement interviewed sex offenders in the county. They worked the case as hard as they could, but with little results. At the funeral, officers were placed in strategic locations, trying to monitor behavior. Is anyone acting suspicious, exhibiting, unusual behavior, that type of thing? The sheriff even chased down a tip saying that the truck had been abandoned near Lancaster, South Carolina, which was 2 hours away. This sheriff got in the car, drove 2 hours away, and was able to determine this was not the truck. But they were just chasing down any lead they could get. They were desperate, and they really wanted to bring justice to this family. But like I said before, Dylan, rumors start up, people start talking, speculation grows wild. One rumor involved the principal of the elementary school. His name was George Marston. Marston had made comments to the newspaper that he had passed by the girls' bus stop every morning on his way to school. It was reported that sometimes Marston picked Brittany up and brought her to school with him. But he claims that was not true. They misconstrued his statement. Marston didn't take her to school, but he said he had often thought, I should just stop and give that little girl a ride.
Right. Because they're going to the same place.
Right.
He probably sees her in school. I mean, that's not a crazy thought.
No, it's cold. She's standing out there. She's so little.
I'm sure that's something most principals, administrators, or anyone who works in the school has thought before. Like, why, I should just see a little kid stand out in the cold, right?
Connie also said Marston never took Brittany to school because she watched her daughter get on the bus every day. And that at no point had this principal ever picked the little girl up and taken her to school. But just, it gets turned around, people start talking, and now everybody's pointing a finger at the school principal. So these things can really get out of control. Eventually, a small department can't devote full-time resources. Other crimes happen, and the case went cold, unfortunately. In January of 1999, the entire investigation is turned over to the State Bureau of Investigation. The agent assigned to the case didn't have nice things to say about the Sheriff Byrd, who was the original sheriff on the case. This agent felt that Byrd had just mishandled the case. The next year, a new sheriff was elected, and his name was Jim Davis. He wanted to focus on Brittany's case again, but this new sheriff ran into some problems with the family. It seems the sheriff's theory was that the family had been responsible for Brittany's abduction and murder. It is said that Davis used certain methods, intimidation and harassment, in an attempt to get relatives to confess.
Okay, well, I mean, he's kind of going off statistics, right? And this being a bit of an insular community. So, man, I get where he's coming from to a degree, but certainly just having a theory or a hypothesis, this is maybe not the way to go about.
Well, yeah, you don't badger people, especially they've lost their child.
Right.
And if they are completely innocent, you're causing a lot more harm.
Well,
you're creating this irreparable relationship between law enforcement and the family.
What if you're wrong?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But see, here's my thing on that. If someone in the family meant her harm, which happens, I mean, unfortunately.
It could be a possibility.
They would have many other opportunities to go about in private. They'd have many more opportunities to harm this child.
Right.
And not doing it in this manner and doing it kind of, whatever, down the road. I mean, I don't know. That part kind of doesn't make sense to me,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Then Sheriff Davis focuses on Charles' father, James Stevens. Now, Charles is the stepfather. So this elderly man, James Stevens, is Brittany's step-grandfather. And by all accounts, he was a really sweet man. He loved Brittany. On the day she disappeared, he was at the house.
So
he was really cooperative. He was welcoming to all the law enforcement. What can we do to help? Even after he's badgered, whatever you want to say, by the sheriff, he doesn't confess. They even make this poor man look at autopsy photos of the little girl and insinuate that he's a sexual predator. And it doesn't seem that they have any solid reason to suspect him. He had no history of sex crimes or anything like that.
They're just grasping at straws.
No, and this poor man, just seeing these photos of Brittany, it really, had an effect on him.
Well, yeah, I'm sure.
In 2002, Davis was running for re-election. He held a press conference about Brittany's case, but didn't offer any new information to the public. There was talk about Davis using Brittany's death to get reelected, and that did not sit well with some people, including Brittany's mother, Connie.
Well, no, it's certainly, why are we bringing this up again? If there's no new information, you've grasped at straws.
Elect me and I'll solve this.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it feels.
Well, in my opinion, the only acceptable way to politicize a death is if the politician is planning to bring about some positive change or legislation to prevent the same thing from happening in the future. I was thinking of the Samantha Josephson case in South Carolina. She got into a car thinking it was her Uber, and the driver, not an Uber driver, killed her.
Right.
But out of that came the Samantha Josephson Ride-Sharing Act. It was a safety act, which changed, some of the ways in which these ride shares have to display placards.
They have to know your name. You have to know their name.
Yeah.
You have to know some information. They send you a picture of maybe the tag information and the vehicle description. Yeah.
Right. And in North Carolina, the murder of Irina Zarutska, which, just happened a few months ago, introduced a law with significant criminal justice reform. It ended cashless bail for violent offenders and mandating mental health evaluations in some cases.
Or actually locking someone up after about their 50th time of being arrested.
Well, that's the thing. Did Carlos Brown Jr. had no business being on the street. He had been arrested like 14 different times in Mecklenburg County. Many of those violent charges, like armed robbery, possession of a firearm by a felon, and like no matter where you sit on the political aisle, you've got to want violent criminals off the streets. Yeah.
I mean, I never knew a period in my life when that was actually in dispute from any group. I thought people always. I've never seen people argue about that.
I don't know who would argue against having safer communities.
No.
Like, I don't understand that at all. It's crazy. So I'm saying, in my opinion, if a politician is going to maybe politicize something,
it should be ushering in change.
It should. There should be some good that comes out of it.
Right, not just using it like a poster.
Like, just elect me
for re-election.
I'm going to solve this case when you've really not done anything but harass this family, right? Davis also blames Robin Byrd, the former sheriff's son, for the murder of Brittany Locklear. According to Davis, Byrd was serving a 23-month sentence for attempting to burn down Davis's campaign manager's house. I know, that's a lot.
So if you thought it was him, why were you badgering this elderly man?
Well, there's that.
I mean, what are we doing here?
A witness back in 1998 named Jordash Leach, who had a criminal record, had made some witness statements about seeing a white man in a brown truck on the day of Brittany's disappearance. However, Sheriff Davis said that was not Leach's original statements. Leach told investigators, now this is according to Sheriff Davis, that Robin Byrd was seen driving a blue truck in the area at the time of the abduction. Davis claims that Jordash Leach was coerced into changing his statement and that it is a wide-ranging political conspiracy.
Oh, wow.
Former Sheriff Byrd denied the allegations and says his son never had a blue truck or access to a blue truck, and there's zero proof that this witness was coerced. Also, the district attorney came out and said this guy Jordash Leach is not considered a credible witness. So we really can't believe what he's saying.
But he has an awesome name.
But, it's a vast conspiracy.
Right.
But he couldn't really explain when they asked him, like, well, what is the conspiracy exactly? He couldn't really explain it.
But the DA is in on it, too.
I guess. Voters replaced Davis with another sheriff named Hubert Peterkin. So now this is the third sheriff to work Brittany's case. A suspect emerged in July of 2003. In Carthage, North Carolina, a bank was robbed by a man wearing a full chemical suit.
Okay.
Keith Laundrie, 44, was arrested. He was a civil firefighter at Fort Bragg. After he was charged on the robbery, co-workers began coming forward with some strange information, Dylan. Laundrie had kept photos of Brittany Locklear in his work locker. And honestly, that is pretty weird, right?
So he's got pictures of a kid. It's not his family. It's not one of his friends' kids, which that would be weird to me. Sorry. Yeah, it's just a kid. Some random kid.
A child that was abducted and murdered 5 years before.
That's
earlier.
weird. That's weird, right?
Well, I remember my stepdad laughing about some guy he worked with at the paper mill who had pictures of Nancy Kerrigan in his locker.
Okay. Why?
Well, that's what he always wanted to know. I guess this man was like madly in love with Nancy Kerrigan.
Okay.
He even had a picture of her like in his toolbox.
Maybe he was
Because
super.
my stepdad worked in maintenance at the mill.
Maybe he was super into figure skating.
Maybe. Anyway, I had to tell you that. Laundrie was questioned and DNA was collected. It did not match the DNA from Brittany Locklear's crime scene. So he's cleared, but not from being a weirdo. I mean, why would you have a child's picture in your locker, especially if it's a stranger? Because, again, he has no connection to this girl or the family.
I don't know how. I guess you could say maybe it left a mark on him, this little girl being abducted or something, but I think it's weird.
Well, it has been pointed out that firefighters from Fort Bragg aided in the search efforts, so maybe he felt a connection to this case. It was also reported that he had a newspaper clipping from the Carmen Cologne case, which I think is somewhere in New England. I'm not exactly familiar with the case. That he had a newspaper clipping of that, like in his wallet, or that he carried on him. But he was in Vietnam at the time of that murder.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, well, maybe the guy's just into true crime.
Maybe
he's just morbid, and maybe he's just a morbid weirdo like the rest of us. We can't judge him too harshly, right? Or we can. Maybe he's just a weirdo. There's a lot of us are weirdos. An FBI profile was created, and it's generic if you ask me. I think a lot of these FBI profiles tend to be very generic.
they have 2 arms.
I could give
2
you a
legs.
profile that sounds very similar to this. They believed the perp would be interested in the case, following it, maybe saving newspaper clippings, etc.
That's true of almost every perp.
The killer might have an obvious change in behavior after the crime, excessive drinking, smoking, maybe they start abusing drugs and or taking more drugs than usual.
I disagree because that you're describing someone with a conscience. And I don't think you could have a conscience or empathy and do something like this. But continue.
The perp might change their appearance or get rid of their truck, get a new vehicle.
Yeah, right.
I mean, possibly.
No, I'm going to keep driving this brown truck around this small rural community.
But I think the FBI is also, I mean, with this profile, which again, I think is super generic, it's almost like they are kind of insinuating maybe this would have been the perp's first murder. And how do we know that? I mean, the way in which this child was snatched up, violated, and murdered in such a short period of time and discarded, I mean, to me, that doesn't sound like a first-timer.
There's no hesitation. There doesn't seem to be any nerves involved. Very ballsy move to take the child from the end of the road.
That does not sound like a seasoned. I mean, that sounds like a seasoned killer to me, not someone that this is their first time.
I mean, maybe they know more about it than we do, but I agree with you. That doesn't seem like someone who's trying to figure stuff out. You know what I mean?
Hey, FBI, I know you guys are like kind of stupid and shitty right now, and you don't know your head from your arse, but hire me because like I could basically do your job for you.
You know, though, they get people on fraud cases, but that's like the only ones they solve. It seems like all the other ones, they kind of orchestrate the terrorism plot and try to get a bunch of other people on board. And then, be like, hey, we caught some terrorists.
Yeah. Like,
it's kind of weird, bro.
What do y'all even do?
And let's see, there's Ruby Ridge. I mean, they had a hand in Waco as well. Gosh.
They've had their hands in a lot of stuff.
They killed the guy who...
Oklahoma City. Cough, cough.
Well, I guess maybe it was local authorities. The guy who wrote Beyond the Pale Horse, the book.
Right.
Legendary book.
William
Cooper.
Bill Cooper.
Bill Cooper.
Yeah.
I'm
sure our conspiracy theorist folks out there are familiar.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, but other than that, they do a pretty good job.
Well, I mean, they should probably just hire us because, I mean, we're goofy, but we probably could do better than this.
I have a good bullshit meter.
So this information is released. It does yield a few tips, but nothing really pans out. And there is DNA, and I don't know if it's been retested like recently or whatever. But all these years later, this parent's nightmare remains unsolved. No one has been arrested in the girls' kidnapping, rape, and murder. Connie Locklear Chavis told the Fayetteville Observer in 2019, quote, "You never can get no justice until whoever done it is brought to trial. Before I die, I hope it does go to trial."
Damn.
Connie thinks about her daughter every day, all the time.
How could you not?
The day after Brittany's body was found, Connie and Charles were saved by a preacher so they could someday join Brittany in heaven. I thought that was quite moving
Yeah.
to hear. Sheriff Peterkin, the third sheriff.
Hubert.
Yeah. So he remained in office for years and didn't view this as a cold case because he said it was always a top priority. He considered it the county's most important unsolved crime. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2021.
So in his opinion, they never stopped working the case.
Right. Brittany had told her mother that she wanted to be a pilot when she grew up. She wanted to fly one of those planes in the sky.
God.
The National Institute for Justice reports that 4 out of 5 Indigenous women and girls have experienced violence, and more than half sexual violence in their lifetime. I mean, those are harrowing statistics, but even more difficult to hear when we're talking about a 5-year-old.
Yeah, I agree.
If you have any tips to report to Hoke County Sheriff's Office, the phone number is 910-878-1279.
It just makes me so mad. These people walk amongst us.
It just makes me really sad. I
They're
feel
animals.
terrible for this poor little girl.
And this
The
family.
final moments of her life is just such a tragedy.
And to never know or never get any justice to know who did this terrible thing to your little baby daughter, your little girl.
Well, like I said, Dylan, I have hope. I think this case is solvable. I think there's potential.
Well, I mean, given when it happened, that's not 50, 70 years ago. There's like this person could still be out there. They could have gotten caught up in some other crime. They could be in prison. Obviously, they could be dead. But maybe someone does know something. And, if someone knows anything or this story rings a bell of any sort, reach out to the local authorities there, because you may be, even if you don't think it's important, you never know. You could help bring answers to this family, because this poor family, all these years later, I know it's still a gaping wound in their heart. There's no way it can't be.
Brittany had a little sister at the time of her passing, a little sister named Brianna. And the mother said, Connie, said because of this situation that from the time Brianna was like 3 years old, they taught her how to shoot a gun for protection.
Yeah.
To protect herself.
I don't blame them.
So she's been like, shooting
Hyper
guns
vigilant
and whatever since she was a little girl. It's so sad.
It's terrible.
And I just can't imagine what this poor family went through or what they still go through today. And, Brittany, I mean, at this point, she'd be a grown woman. She had hopes and dreams. She wanted to be a pilot. I mean, there's just no telling what she could have done.
She probably would have been a pilot, because I don't think anyone could stop that little girl from doing what she wanted to.
Well, right. I mean, she set her mind to something. She's going to do it.
Well, thank you for that. That was a tough story, but I agree with you. It is important to, this wraps it up for our cold case section here on Mountain Murders, which I find, I guess maybe the reason I've said this before, they're not my favorite type of cases, is just because I can never stop thinking about, which all these cases, any sort, are terrible, of course. But just that not knowing, I just don't know how
they can haunt you. The
family and friends can live with that. It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know how people move on from something like this.
All right.
I guess it just shows, human nature, and people are resilient even in times of tragedy and times of hardship.
Yeah, and I think it's something like this. There's just before and after. There's really nothing else, no other way to look at it for me. All right, so thanks again to our listeners for all these years, these many years. You've joined us here on Mountain Murders. It means a lot to us. It still does. And thanks again to Teresa, our latest patron. Thank you for your direct support. It does literally keep the lights on here at Mountain Murders, helps with everything we have to cover. And, I don't know what else to say. Thank you, Heather, for all your hard work for these many years.
Dylan, you say it best when you say nothing at all.
Oh, that's so sweet.
In the words of Keith Whitley. Shh. Don't speak.
That's the
I
words
know
of
just,
No Doubt.
I know just what you're thinking.
You
yeah,
do?
I know.
You don't ever know what I'm thinking.
It's not hard. It's not hard to know.
All
That
right.
little hamster in there, the little wheels not always turning.
He gets tired sometimes.
He takes a lot of naps.
All right. So until next time, we can't wait to be back in the studio.
2026, baby.
That's right. It's going to be a big year.
We'll see you guys next year.
All right.
Bye, Dylan.
Bye, Heather.